Hello folks, today we're going to talk about the special tool I just fabricated to allow me to assemble the crankshaft for the little Yamaha YL1 into the left crankcase half. And this is the special tool right here. It looks like that. Now Yamaha originally offered a special tool for this purpose. And this is one of the two Yamaha service manuals that I have for this bike. And right there, you can see the special tool that Yamaha recommends using to essentially pull the crankshaft into the left crankcase half. On this engine, when it's assembled, you assemble the transmission and crankcase into the left half of the engine, and then complete the assembly by attaching the right crankcase half. Well, I don't have that special tool. Not many people probably do. And though I could probably go try to find one on eBay or something, it'd probably take me a while. So what I decided to do is make one. So essentially what I did is, looking at that drawing or that image there, I could tell that tool nested against the side of the crankcase like that. You can see that right there. So what I ended up doing is going out and measuring this and came up with this. And this is just a piece of standard PVC Schedule 40 pipe, and it's a virtual perfect fit for this case right here. Then I simply got a plug, like you can see here, and tightened it in. I didn't bother to glue it. I just tightened it in so that I could start to step off a little bit. Then I had to make a bolt that would thread into the crankshaft. Now this is a little bit of an unusual size. This thread is a 7mm by 1.0, which is right between the two standards, which is 6 and 8. And so what I did is I took a 3/8, I think this was 4 inches, 3/8 by 4 inch long bolt, cut off the head because I had it in my supplies, and then turned this down, this to the major diameter of 7mm. I had to look that up. Turned it down on my lathe and then threaded it. I just happen to have a 7mm die. I don't think I've ever needed to use it before, so it's brand new. I threaded the die so that it fits in here perfectly. So now it threads in all the way, as you can see here. Okay? And I wanted to go all the way to the bottom, so I measured the depth of the threads and threaded the internal threads, female threads, and then I threaded the 3/8 rod up so that I had a full depth of threads here, like that. Okay, so that was probably the most complicated part, though it wasn't very difficult. It didn't take very long. So the idea is that this will go through. Made a little plate here, by the way. Let me back up and digress. I made this steel plate. I had some scrap steel, so I wanted to distribute the force because I'm going to be tightening a bolt down against this. This will be in compression, so I didn't want to just pull against that, tighten against that PVC there. So I just made this steel plate and drilled it 3/8. So the idea is that I will use some washers to help distribute the load, like that. And then I will put this in here like this, tighten that bolt all the way in to the end of the crank. It's got fairly long threads. I think they're around 18mm in length. And then essentially what I can do, I will tighten this bolt or nut down, and by so doing when I tighten that, I pull the crank into the bearing that will be sitting inside of here. Now there's no bearing there right now. So there is, let me get it like that. There's no bearing in there right now. So I've just got the setting in here for demonstration purposes. So that's the idea. Now I'll be the first to admit that I'm not sure this plastic, this PVC, will be able to bear that that force against it. I think it will. PVC is actually pretty strong. And it will be in compression because I'll be tightening this nut, pulling the crank in this way. So it'll be under compression. If it fails, and it's entirely possible it will, then what I will end up doing is making another one or a different one, same general principle, but I will end up making it out of pipe or something like that. I haven't really gotten that far. Let's see what that looks like there. So it's possible this might crack or not do what I want it to do, and then I'll have to come up with another solution. But I thought I would try this first, and because it's quick and easy. In fact, the only thing in this whole setup that I had to buy, believe it or not, is I had to buy the 3/8 nut. I didn't have any of those. Surprise. And the PVC cap. I had this fitting. I had the washers. I had the scrap steel. I had the 4-inch long 3/8 16 bolt. I had all of that. So literally it probably took me an hour, maybe hour and a half total from conceptualization to getting it into this state, not including picking up the extra parts. So my next step now will be to put the bearings in, or the bearing. There'll be a bearing that will go in. That will go in here. I have the bearings from the inside. So I'll be pulling that crankshaft into the bearing. Let's see if I can get this out here. The bearing will fit in there, and I have it. I just haven't obviously put it in yet. So I'll put the bearing in. I'll clean this up again because I've been handling it, make sure there's no grit anywhere. Insert the bearing, and then I'll go ahead and I'll do both bearings. That is the crankshaft bearing, left crankshaft, and then the transmission output shaft bearing will go here. I'll put those in the freezer first, the bearings, to shrink them as much as I can, and then I'll heat the outside bosses here with a hot air gun. And usually I can get the bearings to almost drop right in. If not, it'll probably just take a gentle tap to get the bearings to the seat. Once those have cooled and normalized, then what I will do is I will go ahead and attempt to pull the crank in using this homemade tool. And my intention right now is I will show that on video, and we'll see whether this little unit works out for me as I think it will, or it's an utter failure and I have to go back to the drawing board. That's it for this video. As usual, thanks for watching.